In the dimly lit corridors of the Forum in Los Angeles, Michael Jackson, the once vibrant and electrifying performer, now appeared as a mere shadow of his former self. The man who had captivated the world with his music and dance was now visibly shaken, his eyes hollow and his movements sluggish. It was a stark contrast to the bright lights and thunderous applause he had once commanded. On the evening of June 18, 2009, Jackson arrived at the venue for rehearsals, but those who saw him couldn't help but notice the change. The singer, who had been under immense pressure to meet the demands of his upcoming This Is It tour, seemed to be on the brink of collapse. Jackson's condition had deteriorated rapidly, and the gravity of the situation was not lost on those around him. Randy Phillips, the CEO of AG Live, along with Frank Dilio, Jackson's longtime manager, and Kenny Ortega, the director of the This Is It tour, had gathered at Carrollwood, Jackson's home, to address the mounting concerns. The meeting was tense, and the air was thick with urgency. Phillips, known for his no-nonsense approach, did not mince words. He laid out the stark reality. If Jackson did not get his act together, the entire production was in jeopardy, and the financial consequences would be catastrophic. Jackson was well aware of the stakes. He had been read the riot act and was under no illusion about the choice before him. The tour, which was scheduled to open in London in July, was his last chance to regain his financial stability and reclaim his place in the public eye. AG Live was funding his entire life, from his house and food to his children's education. The message was clear. If he did not meet their demands, he would lose everything, including his children. The weight of this ultimatum was palpable, and Jackson was visibly shaken. That night, Jackson made his way to the rehearsals, arriving at the Forum at 9:30 p.m. Despite the pressure, he was determined to show up, but those who saw him could tell that he was not in a good state. He was angry and frustrated, and the meeting had taken a toll on him. Karen Fay, one of Jackson's close associates, sent a text message to her boyfriend at 2:30 a.m., detailing the meeting and the dire situation Jackson found himself in. Fay's message revealed that AG Live was funding Jackson's entire life, and that they would pull the plug if he did not get his act together. The consequences were severe, and Jackson was facing the possibility of losing everything, including his children. The following day, June 19th, Jackson appeared at the Forum for rehearsals, but it was clear to everyone that he was unwell. Kenny Ortega, who had been working closely with Jackson, noticed that the singer was not his usual self. Jackson seemed lost and incoherent, and Ortega was deeply concerned. The director recalled that Jackson was not right, and that there was something going on that was deeply troubling. Jackson's behavior was so concerning that Ortega began to suspect that the singer might have been on drugs. This suspicion was reinforced by the observations of others, including John Bugsy Haugdahl, the production manager, who sent an email to Phillips expressing his alarm at Jackson's deteriorating condition. Travis Payne, one of the choreographers, also noticed that Jackson was on edge, cold, exhausted, and paranoid. Karen Fay's comments that Jackson was cold like ice cubes, and that he was shivering and shaking, further confirmed the severity of the situation. Ortega, deeply concerned, offered Jackson food and comfort, feeding him chicken soup, wrapping him in a blanket, and rubbing his feet to help him warm up. The two of them spent 2 hours watching the rehearsal performance, and Jackson appeared weak and frail. Ortega's email to Phillips that night, sent at 2:04 a.m., detailed his concerns and the steps he had taken to care for Jackson. Ortega believed that Jackson needed immediate psychological and physical support, and suggested that he should be evaluated by a therapist. The alarm bells continued to ring, and Frank Dilio called Conrad Murray, Jackson's personal physician, that evening, leaving a voicemail message urging him to get a blood test on Jackson to determine what was wrong. The situation was dire, and everyone involved was scrambling to find a solution. On June 20th, another meeting was held at Jackson's Carrollwood home, attended by Jackson, Murray, Ortega, and Phillips. The discussion was heated, with Murray taking a hostile tone towards Ortega, who he saw as overstepping his bounds. Murray, who had the authority to organize Jackson's rehearsal schedule, was upset that Ortega had not allowed the singer to rehearse the previous day and had instead sent him home. Murray insisted that Jackson was physically and emotionally fine and capable of handling his responsibilities for the show. Ortega, however, asked Jackson to back him up and explained that the decision to cut short the rehearsals was a joint one. Jackson supported Ortega, stating that he felt ready to take the reins and that he was capable of handling his responsibilities. The two of them embraced, and Jackson promised Ortega that he was fine. Despite the reassurances, the underlying tension and concern remained. In the days that followed, the production relocated to the Staples Center for the final 2 weeks of rehearsals. However, the concern about Jackson's well-being continued to grow. Karen Fay, worried about Jackson's state, forwarded emails from concerned fans to Dilio. One fan, who had managed to meet Jackson during a 3D thriller shoot, described the singer's shocking appearance, noting that he looked like a skeleton and that his health was in serious danger. Fay echoed the fans' concerns, warning Dilio that if nothing was done, Jackson could die. For nearly 25 years, Jackson had been the center of a world where those around him were eager to cater to his every need, often at the cost of his well-being. The decades of Demerol abuse and reliance on other painkillers had taken a toll, and now, with the added stress of the tour, legal claims, and financial turmoil, Jackson was facing levels of stress few could comprehend. The medication that had once been his escape had become a dangerous crutch, and Jackson was caught in a maelstrom of confusion. Those around him, each with their own agendas, added to the chaos, making it difficult for Jackson to find a clear path forward. Michael Jackson's final days were marked by a mix of desperation, determination, and deep-seated fear. The pressure to succeed, the fear of failure, and the constant need for validation had taken a heavy toll. In the end, the world would be left with a legacy of incredible artistry, and a tragic reminder of the dangers of excessive pressure and addiction. The final chapter of Michael Jackson's life is a poignant reminder of the fragility of human strength, and the importance of compassion and support in times of crisis.